Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, it is the most wonderful time of the week. It is bold predictions time. Are we a day late? Look, that's not, we're not here to talk about that. You're getting it. So, listen, we gave you an extra day without it this week. You're welcome.
The absence makes the heart grow fonder, or on the internet, angrier, whichever. So here we are. It is Nebraska week, Nebraska Buckeyes tomorrow. But before that game can happen, we have to boldly predict what is going to happen. And Tom, since I am a gracious person, if you would like to go first, and then we can bicker back and forth, let's begin.
This is a little bit non-traditional, but I
Mm.
wanted to start with my three-pointer, and it's actually involving a game that doesn't involve Ohio State, but it does involve a former Ohio State player. I put these together earlier in the week.
No,
Kyle McCord throws 3 pick sixes and 5 interceptions. Tony, that feels like it's worth at least 3 points. What do you say?
Tom, you cannot fool me. I did watch a little bit of television last night, and also I was getting plenty of text updates on what was happening as I was out watching a freshman high school football game. So, no. We can revisit this later on, perhaps, if you would like. Maybe if you'd like to increase that to, because now, even if you wanted to predict it for next week, I'm going to need at least 6 interceptions or 4 pick sixes.
Yeah, I think we really missed our opportunity because I was like, I think this is gonna be a bad week for Kyle McCord, and then
Right.
we recorded a day late, and it really blew
I,
up in my face.
I
That's all
I
right.
know, I know the Ohio State fans watching that were infuriated by the amount of pass pressure that Pitt was getting in that game, and looking at it like, but why can't, if they can, why can't we? And hey, we'll see.
Maybe you should play Syracuse. Have you thought about
Right.
that? All right, so let's start with this one, Tony. This is something that has only happened once this season, and frankly, once ever in the entire history of college football, and
Ooh,
that is Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka combined for 3 receiving
oh,
touchdowns. Sorry, rushing touchdowns to be worth more than 1 point.
well,
3 receiving touchdowns between them in this game.
that's a pretty good one. JJ and Emeka combined for 3 receiving touchdowns. Here's the interesting thing, Tom. And I know a couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, or so, 4 weeks ago at this point, maybe you boldly predicted that Jeremiah Smith would not score, would not catch a touchdown. That, of course, has not yet happened. It is going to eventually probably happen. I am not going to boldly predict that for this week, but I will. I think this is a good one. Basically, you're saying one of those two guys is going to have two, which is almost bold in and of itself. Is it? It's no longer bold. They've both done it this year. So, like, to
Really?
say one of them is going to do it, but to say one of them is going to do it, and then somebody else is going to do something they also always do. Now, Tom, now you're getting pretty bold, but we will go ahead and allow it because 3 touchdown passes. How many times has Will Howard even done that this year? Maybe like three, two. So
Yeah, and, this is a team that I think everyone's looking at 56-7 against Indiana last week and going, "Okay, you gotta predict them to score. They
yeah,
gotta score 17 touchdowns, and they gotta catch 1 in their face mask," and, like, no, that's not that game was not quite as lopsided as the score would lead you to believe, and that score is also not really representative of the rest of Nebraska's season, so, I think this is not one of these where it's like Akron and, okay, you have to predict someone to do, you've gotta nope, you gotta catch the ball with your feet this time, like, no, it's not quite like that.
now, mine, I'm going to go straight to my fifth one pointer because it's right in line with this one. And it is something that has only happened once this year as well. And that is a wide receiver other than Emeka Egbuka or Jeremiah Smith scores in this game.
Interesting, okay. I had not looked at that. I meant to look at Carnell Tate's stats to see what I could
Just
do with that, but,
one touchdown this year. The little catch and run in the first game of the season, I believe.
yeah, and he feels like someone who's overdue at this
Mhm.
point, and Brandon Inniss kinda feels the same way, like, you've seen them out there enough that it's like, okay, like, at some point, this can happen, and frankly, the fact that Will Kazmarek is hurt
Mhm.
probably changes this a little bit more, and the fact that Quinshon Judkins is maybe not gonna play probably changes this a little bit, but yeah, I think this is a good one. because it's one that I can absolutely see happening, but I can't, this is not like, well, yeah, this has happened the last 3 weeks in a row. And also, so yeah, grudgingly, Tony, I will say yes. However, whoever it is must catch the football with their feet.
Well, here's the other thing. I just said scores.
So it could be a PAT.
But hey, it could be that. It could be subbing in on defense, taking up a safety, perhaps catching a bouncing onside kick and scoring that way. Also, and I did have this in parentheses, but I was taught in grade school, you don't need to read the parentheses stuff out loud. It says a receiver or former receiver other than Emeka Egbuka. So that would include G. Scott.
No, I think we're going to just go with the original thing that we agreed upon. And
Fair.
Henry County Public Schools have failed you once again. Sorry to say. That's not how the things work in the real world. Sorry to say. All right. Let's see. How about, Tony, there are 2 Ohio State touchdowns where the offense drives 34 yards or less. So that could include a pick six. That could include a drive where they return a punt to the 32-yard line and then drive for a score. So defensive scores and offensive scores, touchdowns, where the drives are 34 yards or less, 2 of them.
I like this one. It's out of the box and it's got the 34 in it. So basically I can't do anything to stop it. I'm wondering if you know offhand how many of those Indiana had last week. Was it like 2 or 3? Because I know they had a bunch of short fields with it, and I'm not going to change my answer, but they had some turnovers in there and some short fields. Now, could Ohio State turn Nebraska over 5 times like the Hoosiers did? No, of course not. We're talking about Indiana. We're trying to compare it to Ohio State. It's apples and oranges when we're talking about defenses and offensive explosion.
I'm pulling this up right now. Could Ohio State turn over Indiana 5 times? Or turn over Nebraska 5 times? Allow me to assure you, if they do, it will certainly help my cause in this, in getting this one to hit. I'm just trying to pull up the final stats here.
I'll just play some music over this.
Yeah.
Or I could just
do you have any elevator music?
I do.
Do you have anything that can make PDFs load faster? Either of those would be good. Well, doesn't matter which one.
No.
So Indiana scored on drives of 75, 88, 75, 74, 19. So there's 51, 43, and 19 again. So
here's my thing.
Do this last week, but it was 2 in the end of the game.
Okay. 19-yard drives are disavowed. They're not allowed.
The old Nebraska weakness: close games and 19-yard touchdown drives. Listen, I have to say, excluding 19-yard drives. That's yes.
How could you not?
How could I not? I mean, listen, I have to honor what is only right.
Honor the shtick.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my first 1-pointer, which is my second 1-pointer. Jordan Hancock secures an interception this week. It's time for him to, he's going to be playing more somewhere, one way or another. Dylan Raiola has been known to throw an interception a time or two. Whenever we predict a certain person to have an interception, nobody can argue it. That is known. So Tom, Jordan Hancock interception. I did originally go with Denzel Burke because of everything, but I thought, you know what? Let's go with Jordan Hancock instead.
And this is one where we have a sort of standard understanding that picking any individual player to have an interception is, you have to honor it just because it's a sort of weird one-off thing. And we were not doing the bold prediction show during the Malik Hooker era. So, that may have gotten to a point where it was like, no. But this one, yeah, you have to honor this one. I think this is a great possibility because you don't know exactly where he's going to be. He's either going to be the nickel spot or one of those deep safety spots. And, with the injury to Lathan Ransom, there's a little bit of a question as to where he will actually end up playing. But yeah, I like this one. I am grudgingly forced to allow this one based on the fact that this is sort of established precedent here on the Bold Prediction show.
Thank you.
All right. Tony, let me spin you a yarn, Tony, about something that hasn't happened in the last 8 Ohio State football games. Not against the good teams, not against the MAC teams, not against Missouri. Not once in the last 8 games, Tony, has TreVeyon Henderson run for 100 yards. However, Tony, I say boldly, he breaks that streak on Saturday, gets over the hump, 100 yards rushing for TreVeyon Henderson.
I like that one. I also have a TreVeyon Henderson bold prediction. Mine was just a season high rushing total. So since you have already...
Sounds less bold than mine.
Correct. So I am going to hand that one over, and I am powerless to stop you unless I try to raise you on that one. And
Can we just take a moment to let the haters in the comments ruminate, bask in the fact that we had extremely head-to-head ones, and mine was more bold? Is this a example of a much broader trend in the show? Yes, of course it is. Will the people in the comments realize it? I don't know. Let's check with the people in the comments in a little bit of time. I believe in them. I believe that they will recognize that this is indeed part of a broader trend, but we'll see.
Oh, no. This is not part of any kind of trend, Tom. This was just me starting low and knowing that I would have gone up to 160 yards. And now you, fool. I don't know who's actually the fool. But now
I have a sense for that too, but go on.
I'll leave it up to the commenters. So, okay, TreVeyon Henderson. And honestly, he should. If you're not, Ryan Day says Quinshon Judkins is fine. We all know that when Ryan Day talks about injuries.
What's a polite way to say lying liar? What's a good way to...
Pants aflame, perhaps. So now I'm going to have to come up with something else for that one pointer. I'll come back to it. So here's one, Tom. Since Abraham Lincoln was anointed King of America, only 4 times have Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau each recorded a full sack in a game. Has not happened this year at all. Has not happened in the past 8 or 9 or 10 games. They will each record an entire 1.0 sacks in a game. Not since 4 times. Since Abraham Lincoln anointed Tom.
So this is annoying because I was looking at this and strongly considering some variation of this and decided, I didn't really land on anything that I absolutely loved. This one, I think this is a very good one because frankly, I'm expecting that you're going to see a little more diversity in the pass rush and all of that this week based on what we've been hearing and what we've been told. So I think there's a decent possibility you see them get there. I think the Nebraska offensive line is okay, but not great by any means. But also this would be a little bit outside of the established precedent from the season. So I think we have to go with it.
Boom. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Tony, you talked earlier about something that never happens when people predict it. And Tony, let me tell you about something that hasn't happened in Big Ten play or against any Power 5 opponent for the Buckeyes since the Indiana game in 2022. Tony, Ohio State is going to rush for 220 yards in a game, and they're going to pass for 220 yards in the very same game.
You know, every time somebody predicts this, we're like, well, it should. I think this is the one. And since I did not consider this one, I can't even try to, to bid you up on it. 220. Now, I will say, just last week, Indiana rushed for almost 220 yards, 215 yards.
So will I be giving credit for if it almost happens? Because if so, I would happily take it. This is a game where they haven't done this against the power conference opponent since Indiana in 2022. Against Minnesota in 2023, They rushed for 215 and passed for 219. But if I had gone 220 in that game, I'm quite certain I would not have been given credit. So I'm pretty sure this is not a horseshoes situation, nor, Tony, a hand grenade situation.
It is a bold prediction situation, which means it needs to be exact unless there is a random yard marker that gets thrown in. So 220, 220, it is done. It is written. I will allow it. The people will allow it. So let's see. I've got 2 1-pointers left. Here is one for you, Tom. A Buckeye, could be offense or defense, will have a play of 17 yards in the second or third quarter, or a 34-yard play in the first or fourth quarter, but there cannot be both.
So this is a play of exactly, or a
Yes.
play of at
No,
least?
exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly 17 yards in the second or third quarter.
Could be a fumble return, could be a rush, could be a catch, punt return.
Okay. Or exactly 34 yards in the first and fourth, but you cannot have a 34-yarder in the first and a 17-yarder in the third. That will cancel out and negate. Oh, well. I'm looking at the time of the show and thinking, boy, we're going too quickly. We're agreeing too much. I need to argue about something so that we can get to our normal length of show. But this is so complicated and stupid that I feel like this is not the place that needs to happen.
I mean, you just titled the show.
Yeah, this is really good because we're involving the 17, we're involving the 34, we're involving the needlessly complicated, we're involving the stupid exception. I feel like denying this one would be to deny everything that is special about these shows, which is to say nothing. But that's okay. Like it's all the bedrock principles that the bold prediction show is based on. Feel like this is you gotta stay true to this one. So yes, that's a good one. I will allow it.
Okay, I will make sure that I do not allow this next one and to really crank it and try to get something bold out of this. Okay, go ahead.
All right, Tony. James Peoples.
Nope.
Meets or exceeds his career highs in 3 of the 4 following categories: 10 carries, 51 yards, 1 touchdown, long run of 12 yards. 3 of the 4, or 4 of the 4, but at least 3 of the 4 of those categories, he meets or exceeds his career high.
Meets, exceeds, 3 of 4.
Not since Tony Abraham Lincoln. Tony, and I'll even go back further than that.
Okay.
Not since Millard Fillmore has James Peoples exceeded those 4 categories.
You know, I wasn't going to go with the Abraham Lincoln thing because it's like, really, that's one generation, basically. That's like a great-grandparent to us, you know. But then you go back to Millard Fillmore, and that's an extra grandparent. Maybe. I'm not sure of the years. So that's even more impressive, Tom, when I think about it, not since Millard Fillmore. I honestly, I hate this with every fiber of my being because I want to know how much Quinshon Judkins is playing. Now, that being said, perhaps the running game might not go as well as we think with the new offensive line that Ohio State will be employing in terms of Zen Michalski at left tackle. People just think about the passing game and protecting the blind side, but the Ohio State running game struggled against Oregon. Now, is Nebraska as good as Oregon? Yes, it is. So I will allow this. James Peoples meets or exceeds 3 of his 4 career highs, be it carries, yards, touchdowns, or a long carry of just 12 yards. Like that one, I don't care for that one, but he's got to meet the others as well.
You'll have to take that up with James Peoples. That was not my decision. I'm just there taking pictures, Tony. That's not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I won't belittle what you do as much as you just did, but I do appreciate you acknowledging that's all you do. Here's one for you, Tom. This is one that we've already deemed as bold because I passed it through Congress last week. TreVeyon Henderson scores a single touchdown. You should have let me have the 88 yards, boy. I'm telling you.
Tony, things that are bold against Oregon are not necessarily bold against teams that are not literally the number one team in the country.
All right. Okay. Well, if I say 2 touchdowns, you'll be like, well, he's already done that twice this year. So that's why I was saying 1.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I will, even though, Tony, how benevolent am I? I will allow you to say that he will score 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's as bold, but it doesn't surprise me that you would want me to pick something that is less bold. So I will go ahead and say 2 touchdowns for TreVeyon Henderson scored. Or do you want rushing, or can I just say scored?
I would like rushing.
Okay. I'm sure you would. Henderson, 2 rushing touchdowns, unless one is a reception. All right. Okay, we agree.
All right, Tony. So here's my 2-pointer. Ohio State has turnover returns, whether interception returns or fumble returns. Can we count blocked kick returns on this? I don't know. We'll see. Turnover returns, 1 of at least 34 yards and 1 of at least 17 yards.
I'll even let you take muffed punts.
You can't return a muffed punt, Tony.
That's why I'm giving it to you. Yeah, I mean, this is, I like this. I don't like it, which means it has to be allowed. Now, Tom, there's no way Dylan Raiola can continue. Sorry, Dylan Raiola. It's in the pronunciation guide of the Oregon media notes. So we all have to just deal with it and pronounce it correctly now.
What if I don't read them? If I just don't read the media notes, can I continue saying it the way that everyone has always said it?
Yes. In fact, good. You can. I still say Joe Theismann. 17-34. I will, I'm powerless to stop it. So that's a good one. I like that one. I don't think we've ever had anything like this because
I don't think so.
I've got a pretty steel trap memory on all of our stupidity. And I don't believe that one is there. So, yeah, that's a good one. You'll probably like that one more than the one that I've got here, Tom. My 2-pointer. This is something that Nebraska has not allowed yet this season. Not once, not twice, not 1,000 times, not at all. It's something that Ohio State has done 5 times in 6 games. But I didn't say that correctly. Here's my thing. Ohio State will have 2 receptions of 50 yards or more. And when I say Ohio State has done this 5 times in 6 games, I mean, they've had 5 50-yard receptions in 6 games. They've not done that twice. So I don't know how many times they've done it in a game. I know how many times Nebraska has allowed 2 in a game. It's the same number of times as they've allowed 1, which is nuts.
I feel like I really need a little more information about how often Ohio State has done this twice in a game. So let's see if we can pull this up very quickly.
Sure. I don't know how quickly.
Well, we're going to work on it. We're going to see.
Pull up all of these box scores to find out that
by game, team. Yeah, see, the problem is I don't think they did it against Oregon. Did they do it against? Here's the other problem. They don't have, for some reason, Tony, the box scores on the official site jump straight from Michigan State to Oregon. So there isn't a Iowa box score up there, which.
No, I can
call
tell
me
you.
A completionist if you want to.
So Jeremiah Smith has 3 50-yard receptions this season. Okay. And I don't know that he's had any of those in more than one game, like in terms of, as he had multiple. The other Ohio State receiver with a 50-yard reception is Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, they did it against Marshall. I see that.
So those two did it. Each did it against Marshall.
Each of them did it in the Marshall game. Each of them did it. Bennett Christian and Jeremiah Smith both did it in the the Western Michigan game.
We know that one. We know that's irrelevant.
Yes. So They have not done 260-yard receptions in one game. If you'd like that, we can have that conversation for. Let me remind you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
2 points at stake on this one. So
No, that's how about 150, 160?
150, 160.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a 50-yard reception and a 60. Well, again, that they did that in both of those 2 games.
Okay, all right. So I need. I'm going
to need you for 2 points to not give me something they've done in literally a third of the games already this season.
That's somewhat fair, Tom. The way you put it like that.
I'm not sure if there's anything to quarrel about there because they've done it in 2 of the 6 games, so that would be a third of the games this season.
Yeah, but it's not. It's barely a quarter. Let's see. Let's just do 260-yard receptions for Ohio State because I am going to stand fast on my 3-pointer. So
okay, all right.
I don't care for this one because here's the thing. There's only how many 60-yard receptions do they have this year? Do you know, Tom? They have 1, 2. Yes, Emeka has 1, and then Jeremiah Smith has the 70-yard that he had. So okay, I mean that's more of a 3-pointer, but.
I'll tell you what. I'll take that as my 3-pointer.
No.
Say I'll take 2 65-yarders for 3 points.
Well, I mean, if you want, but I'm still sticking with my 2 60-yarders because, again, I don't have any others, and I want to get the show done. Not because I'm in a hurry, but because
because you're ready to do something else with your day. I get it. I understand. All right. So I don't have a 3-pointer. So let me say, I think it's well established, Tony, that calling for a particular defensive back to have a pick 6 is more or less established as a 3-pointer, especially, Tony, if never once in the history of college football has that player done that for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So, Tony, I'm going to say Caleb Downs pick 6 on Saturday, 3 points.
I don't like anything about this. I don't like the fact that it is established that calling out a pick 6 for a particular player is 3 points. It is accepted. Tom, you did this a few weeks ago for Michigan State with Jordan Hancock. It did not happen. I don't know that we've ever hit on this. We've come close. I seem to remember a Kim Martinez type of thing at one point, but that may have just been a blanket pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to allow this. Caleb Downs certainly do to make a huge interception type of play. So I will go ahead and allow that. Congratulations on that one, Tom. We'll see. Oh, shoot. And you know what, Tom? That could be a 5-point play.
It could potentially be a 5-point play if it is a return of 17 or 34 yards. It could potentially hit more than one for me. Tony, rest assured, if it does, I will make sure to let you know.
I will make sure to block you on my phone. Here is my 3-pointer, Tom. It is something that has not happened just once since 2017, the Maryland game of 2017. Ohio State will have touchdown runs from a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver. I love it.
I don't like this one at all. Not even a little bit do I like this one. But I didn't like your 2-pointer, and I'm right now thinking, I wonder if he'll let me make this his 2-pointer and take that as my 3-pointer, as his 3-pointer, because, oh boy. That feels like one of those, like, just historical oddities, like, that Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy and Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. It's like, yeah, but what are the odds of that? Like, well, I don't know, but it doesn't. So this is one where we've seen Ohio State wide receivers run for touchdowns. We've seen Ohio State quarterbacks run for touchdowns. We've seen Ohio State running backs run for touchdowns. The fact that those 3 things have not overlapped. Oh boy, I don't like this one at all. Can we swap your 2 and 3-pointers? Can we make this your 2-pointer and make your 2 60-yarders a 3-pointer? I will remind you, you offered to have 2 65-yarders be a three-pointer for me just a moment ago. So
we can swap them as long as it's 150-yarder, 160-yarder. I'm just messing. I'm messing. Here's the interesting thing about this, why it should be a three-pointer. So only one receiver has rushed for a touchdown this year. That was Jeremiah Smith. Only one receiver rushed for a touchdown last year. That was Marvin Harrison. Only one quarterback rushed for a touchdown last year. That was Devin Brown, Purdue. Like, they didn't come close to overlapping. CJ Stroud never rushed for a touchdown at Ohio State.
Yes, when Ohio State doesn't have a running quarterback, this is a very different proposition. They do have a running quarterback this year. They have actually multiple running quarterbacks this season. So I mean, if you're going to propose that this is a less likely thing to hit than 260-yarders, then I'm giving you an absolute gift by making the 260-yarders a three-pointer. So,
well, then I'll go ahead and
for everyone, Tony, you're welcome.
I will be the bigger person here. I will be the magnanimous of the two of us, and we'll go ahead and make that the two-pointer for you. Make the 260-yard receptions for the Buckeyes a three-pointer.
I'm trying to decide now if you think that magnanimous means that you think that metal sticks to you.
Here, watch the spoon, what I can do with on my nose. Right.
All right, so now we need to come up with a freebie, and I have spent a lot of time not thinking about this. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Tony, Ohio State football scores points in at least 2 quarters of this game.
I'll go ahead and allow that, because if it doesn't happen, that's 3 points for me.
Tony, if that doesn't happen, the city of Columbus is going to be on fire. So we'll have
as long as I win
the 3 points.
All right, let's go ahead and accept that one. Let's just score like 42 in the first and just coast. Here you go, Tom. Will Howard will complete a pass of at least 4 yards. I know they do a lot of dinking and dunking.
They sure do.
But
Tony, America runs on Duncan. So
that's true.
I'm not sure about dinking, but definitely Duncan.
Not so much dinking, definitely Duncan. And so there you go. Bold predictions in the bag. I never feel great about it. So we'll see. They never end up well. I think we tied last week. So congratulations to both of us for that. I don't think we'll tie this week. I think one of us will win by at least a point, and we'll see. So before we go, if you want to hit the thumbs up, we would appreciate that on the YouTube there. And of course, continue to find us at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. If you're listening to us on a podcast, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and review. We would appreciate that. And of course, you can always find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. So thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys later.